Hello and welcome. Welcome replay viewers. Hey guys, come on in. I am going to talk a little bit about a new history that we tried that involves some pretty intense lap booking. Hi Christina. Oh Christina, I believe you are a lap book girl. So you may have some things to share here as we talk, because this is actually our first one in a long time. Hello, Rebecca. Hi, guys. Hi, everybody. Yeah, we haven't done a lap book in a long time. So we just did Homeschool in the Woods, and I thought I would share our experience with everybody of how it went for us. Okay, we did Colonial. We did the Time Traveler series. I know they have a few. They have like the Passport series, I think now, and they have a few other things. History Through the Ages, I think that's like Timeline. Anyway, they have a lot of stuff. But first, for those of you who are new, my name is Mary. I am a homeschool mom of 4. They are, I have found you cannot overdo lap books. When we used to do them, we did maybe 2 a year. I think with this curriculum, 2 a year would definitely be plenty. Anyway, back to my introduction. I am a homeschool mom of 4 kids. I have 13 and 11-year-old girls, and I have 9 and almost 7-year-old boys. And we have been homeschooling from the beginning, and we have done a lot of things for history. And this month in Brave Scopes, they've asked people to share what they do for history. And actually, our core curriculum, I will hold it. Yeah, they do take so much effort. Our core curriculum is actually Story of the World. We are on year 3. Story of the World is fantastic. I have no complaints about it, except that here in year 3 is when you hit the 17 and 1800s. And it occurred to me that my girls had done a U.S. history study through Sunlight when my oldest was in 3rd and 4th grade. She's now in 7th grade. And so as we were doing Story of the World, because it is the story of the entire world, it only touches on what's going on in America. So it did the Boston Tea Party, a little bit on the Revolutionary War, but it's little snippets. And I really felt like my boys, who are in 1st grade and 3rd grade, needed more. They needed to really dive into the U.S. And I do Story of the World with the activity book. I actually get together with friends every 3 weeks, and we do the crafts. So I don't do the crafts on my own. I do the maps and some of the activities, but every 3 weeks we get together with some other families. In fact, we're doing that tomorrow. And we do all of the crafty stuff. Oh, I see a lot of people are doing Story of the World. Yeah, it's a great one. I've just found that in terms of the energy for all the craftiness, it's been a lot more fun with friends. So that's how we've handled that. In fact, I'm helping lead the one tomorrow, and our chapters have been a little bit dull. So we're kind of reaching for activities tomorrow, but we'll have some fun. We're going to play some Colonial Bingo. That's always fun. This is my little card. Sorry, I was introducing myself and have gotten distracted. But my blog and Facebook page is Not Before 7, so you can find me there. I try to keep up with the blog, but it comes and goes in spurts. I'm sure other bloggers understand. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about Homeschool in the Woods. Hi, Allison. And their history program. This is my first time using it, so I'm by no means an expert, and I will show you the lap book created in the end. So this is my one of my kids' lap books. So in our I don't think you have to be consistent with it, Rebecca. We just listened to the audio of Story of the World. In fact, today we did it while we were volunteering at church, and then we discussed it. This is the lap book. It's pretty intense, actually. The clothing of the colonists. We did a little bit with what kind of plants and herbs they would find, what you would find on a colonial farm, and this has the tools that we talked about. This is a little sample horn book. Each of the kids made one. This has some people of faith that were important during this Reformation time. These are the houses, and as you open each one, it's got like a little, this is 3D actually, little log cabin and the stone house. So these all were little activities we've done. Now we have worked on this since October. So this is not something we whipped together. I know some lap books you can do with just a week, a few weeks study. This has been pretty intense. This we dyed fabric. So we used blueberries, pomegranates, red berries, tea, and charcoal and mulch. And we boiled water and we tried to dye the fabric. And when you fold this up, this we learned about all sorts of bees that they have. Quilting bees, apple picking bees, stuff like that. Maple sugaring. So this kind of opens. Sorry, I'm doing this all one-handed. But it would open in a circle, a logging bee, and it will go all the way around. And then it slips into this pocket of bees. And then this is flax to linen, which demonstrated how flax would become linen. The nice thing about this is when I was reading the selections, the kids could color this stuff. Okay, so I will explain how it works and the good and the bad that I have discovered putting so much effort into this. And then I'll show you how we store the lap books so that we save them. So this was my first time. Sorry, I'm trying to flip the camera. Flip. Okay. Every time it's back. Okay. This was my first time doing the Time Traveler series, and I have to say it's really intense. If you are a type of person that cannot pick and choose activities, it will not be for you. It is an overwhelming amount of projects and suggested activities. That being said, I love that because I will pick and choose. There is nothing in me that feels the need to do the entire curriculum. But if you do, then you're going to have a hard time with this one because there is so much in there. And the way it works, I'll show you where it is on their webpage. So if you go, sorry with my tripod, it's getting a little weird. If you go to Homeschool in the Woods, under products, over here on the side, you see Time Travelers, and they have a few series. So we have New World Explorers, Colonial, American Revolution, the early 19th century, the Civil War, the Industrial Revolution, and the Great Depression, and then World War II. So it goes in order. The one that I did was Colonial Life. You can purchase it as a download, or you can have get the CD, and then this is the download. You know, I don't know where Napoleon would be included. Napoleon was not in Colonial Life, and he's going on in Story of the World 3 during the colonial times and the Revolution. So perhaps between one of these two, though I think this would just focus on America. So maybe in the early 19th century, you could start look in here because you have the Lewis and Clark. This looks like, again, it's focused on America though. So if you're looking for a whole lot about the rest of the world, I don't think this is going to be the curriculum for you. This is definitely focused on America. So what happens is for each, they want a lot of Napoleon. Yeah, he was in Story of the World this chapter, Michelle, but you know, my kids aren't really grasping it. But this would not do Napoleon for you. I'm going to share some other sites you can get lap books, and you might be able to find that, Shelley. All right. On each lesson, you have text pages, and this is what you read to the kids. It's usually pretty short. Some of them have been into 3 pages, but that was it. So that's what you would read the kids. And I often tried to have printed out anything that they were going to color from the project pages. And then the project pages tell you what activities to do. So there was an archaeological dig you could do. There was an archaeological journal. You could do a newspaper, town crier, and with every section, they have penmanship copywork pages. So already in lesson 1, I was feeling a little overwhelmed. And that continues for every lesson. You can see there's penmanship for every lesson. and there is more to do. This had the colonial farm that you saw in there with all of the tools and stuff like that. So let me tell you how you know, they didn't double up with Story of the World because Story of the World is moving through the whole United States and this was focused on just colonial. I just had to look at them totally separately. Story of the World kind of took the back burner for us. And like I said, at this point, it's become an audio CD we pop in at good times when we're eating lunch or in the car, and then we just discuss it. And we have stopped focusing on the activity book there, except when we get together with the families, which normally I wouldn't have to do much, except I'm planning tomorrow. So it didn't line up because Story of the World only had like 5 chapters on what was going on in colonial America. So there was a little in there, but I don't think you could coordinate it like that unless you literally kind of stopped Story of the World and did this for a while and then went back to Story of the World. If you know enough history, you might be able to line it up because this is all of colonial life. So it's the 17 and 1800s. It's not just on the Pilgrims or just on the Revolutionary War. It's kind of the entire time period. So even things like the houses that you make, they span decades. And it kind of explains that. So if you're really good with your history, you might be able to find a way to line it up some. I wasn't able to, so I just kind of had to look at them both separately. Okay, so here's how I picked. We read the lesson always, and then I would look at the projects. And what I started to figure out is that there were projects that the kids kept in a notebook, like the archaeological dig that we did, where we looked at different kinds of artifacts that they could find. The archaeological journal. You can see with lesson 1, I was feeling gung-ho and I was doing everything that it suggested. This changes. They started the town crier and were writing things, making their ads. So they were pretty much doing everything. I began to notice that there were activities you saved in the notebook and there were activities you saved for the Lapbook. And so what I did, unless one of the notebook activities was really interesting to me, we only did the Lapbook activities because I feel like the Lapbook is a really great thing at the end that they can have and they can refer to. So I wanted to have all the Lapbook activities done. And for the most part, I just stopped doing the notebook ones unless something really stood out to me. And then there were all sorts of projects in there. I demonstrated yesterday how to make the tin can candle. And that's on Catch from last night. That was one of the projects in this curriculum. So yeah, I had to focus in. I picked out the projects that looked really fun. Like dyeing the cloth was necessary for the Lapbook. And so we did that. The tin candle, that wasn't, but it was really fun. So what we did is we teamed up with another family, which you'll hear a lot from me because I often do the crafty stuff with other people. We teamed up with another family who was doing this, and we saved some of those big projects for a get-together day. And that's when we did the orange polanders, and we did the quilling, and we did candle making, and we also made the tin candles. So we kind of, as we were going through it, would say, oh, that's a great project. Let's save that for the day we get together. And then I would do the other ones at home. So that's kind of how it worked for us. I really enjoyed it. I would like to do another one. I don't think we will squeeze it in this year. I would have to debate that with the kids. We have March, April, and May and could possibly fit in another one. But to me, 2 of these a year would be plenty and would be a full history semester because it was a lot of work. So I guess that's all I have to say about the curriculum. I'll show you guys how, that's fine, that looks good, how we store the Lapbooks unless there are any other questions about Homeschool in the Woods. I think you can buy it on the Homeschool Buyer Co-op page, the Homeschool Buyers Co-op. I don't think you get much of a discount, but you might get some of those smart points. I just bought it directly from their site, and they have great customer service. At some point, I'm new to using a Mac, and it got deleted, and I couldn't find it, and they just resent it to me, and it was totally fine. So they were fantastic about that. So this is how we store Lapbooks. The kids really like to keep these, but they don't like me punching holes here. I like to keep them in a binder. So what I do, if you can see this here, is I take clear packing tape and run it down the side and then run another piece on the other side so they meet here. And I leave just enough of a margin that I can punch holes in this. So then I can punch holes in the clear packing tape, and then I can put their lap books in a binder. Thanks. I'm sure I learned it from someone somewhere. But we did this back when the kids were like in kindergarten. Okay. And so then each of them can have a binder, and then they can open and have their lap books in there, which is really nice because I find if they're stored like this and made available on a bookshelf, the kids will look back at them. So that's just my little neat trick for saving the lap books. Oh, and I was going to say some other sites where you could get, if you're into lap booking, the other sites I know of, and if Christina's still on here, and I saw Amy Milsick pop in at the beginning, I don't know if she's here, but these are some sites where you can also get some inexpensive or free lap books. Homeschool Share, I think, has free ones, and Hands of a Child sells a lot. Oh, and CurClick. Is that the same as Hands of a Child? I'm not sure it is. There's another one called CurClick. I'll write it down. Gosh, I haven't used CurClick in a long time, but it just came to me. Oh, there's another one, Journey Through Learning. There's CurClick. Okay, Shelly says they're different. So these are all. The one I used today was Homeschool in the Woods. So that was just what we've been doing in our Homeschool for History. Here's Homeschool in the Woods. Okay, it sounds like the Living Through Learning. Was it Learning Through Living? I'll have to go watch my own replay so that I can see it and write it down. If somebody types it in there again, I'll add it to my list because I would love to have the name as well. Journey Through Learning. Thank you. I'm going to write that one down too. Okay. So that was it. It's worked out really well. I recommend them, but again, just, oh, they're very printer heavy. That is another downside. And lap books may be in general, but this particular curriculum was a lot because you're printing out the lessons. Unless you're really good at reading it from the PDF, which you could do. I could read it from my laptop. I'm a paper girl. I like having it in a notebook just ready to flip to the next page. And then I always printed the project pages because I liked the instructions right in front of me. And then of course there's so much printing on cardstock and stuff like that. So that kind of thing. I was saying at the beginning, Natasha, that we use Story of the World. And Story of the World Volume 1, which is dark blue, starts at the beginning of the story of the world. So yes, European history does start to happen first because Europe is settled first and then they head to America, but it does the entire world at the same time. So right now, while the colonies are being settled, we're also learning about what's going on in China, and we're talking about Napoleon, and we're doing all of the world at the same time. It kind of jumps chapters. Yeah. So this is our third year, which is why we're on volume 3. But we added in doing a colonial life lap book because my boys have not done a whole lot with U.S. history. So we're also doing Liberty Kids. Liberty Kids is like the best colonial education ever. I love those DVDs. So I think that's everything. I don't want to keep everyone. Yeah, Liberty Kids is awesome. I learned so much every time I watch. I hope you guys have a great rest of your week. We have all survived hump day, hopefully, if your school day is done. And the weekend is coming. So thanks for tuning in. If I pop back on later tonight, it'll just be to do a PSA for some new people to Periscope about how to do private scopes and how to block people. I'm seeing a lot of questions about that on Facebook pages. And I haven't done that in a long time, and I know there's a lot of new users, so I may pop on to do that tonight. But if you know all that stuff, feel free to tune that out. All right. Thanks, guys. Thanks for the monkeys. They're so fun to see. I'm going to miss the Chinese New Year hashtag. Oh, I like to turn on to something else. So we will freeze on colonial life. Bye, everybody.